Hello, what's happening?
Hello.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Game Cast. Before I go into the rest of the spiel, I just want to say, forgive me, I am recovering. I've been sick since Sunday, and it's Thursday.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes, it was rough. So if my voice sounds off or weird, or I sound younger already than I already sound, then that's why. That's what's happening. Or if I have to cough or something, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying not to die. So, yeah, uh,
try. Definitely try.
definitely try. I am one of your hosts. I'm Kenny, and with me is Teresa, aka Tess,
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
and we want to hang out this week. This week is a little chill, a little relaxed. We're still trying to recover. Like I said, I was sick most of the week,
You were
and
sick and I traveled.
yeah, and so we're a little tired, but we still want to you know I don't want to say put on a show. That's not exactly what we're doing. We still want to do the cast.
Yeah.
Uh, Aside from being ill, my week was pretty interesting in the fact that I was able to catch up on a lot of things.
Hmm.
One of the perks of being sick is that you can binge watch your shows without the guilt.
Yes.
Yes, without the guilt. That's all I've been doing, and I was able to catch up on. Ironic, I didn't realize that I didn't finish the Daredevil series on Netflix.
Oh,
Because I had watched so many of them, I was like, oh, season three. I totally forgot about that. So I was able to catch up on that, and that was really good. Uh,
cool.
it was written very well, and I like the fact that they had Bullseye's character there, even though he wasn't named that in the film or in the show. It was cool that he made an appearance, or he was a villain alongside the Kingpin. Um,
Okay.
Also, before I got sick, so let's see, I got sick on Sunday. So that Saturday, I went to the movies. I took my oldest two to go see Sonic.
Nice.
And
Sonic the Hedgehog.
yes, and it was really good. Like surprisingly good. Um, I think it's one of the best, and I made this declaration on Twitter. Like, I think this is one of the best video game films. Film based
Wow.
on a video game. Because for one, and some of that is a little might be a little unfair because I think there should be extra credit given to a director or writer who can make a film based on Sonic work.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's difficult. It's similar to what the challenge that's gonna come up with the next Mario film. Nintendo's been talking about that a little bit, and I think it's gonna be challenging to incorporate all the things from the video games into a film and make it be believable. Because video game logic makes sense. It doesn't translate well to live action.
Right,
So,
right.
but they did really well. The story was predictable, and it's something that we've seen before, kind of like a coming of age story. But it was rather funny. Jim Carrey did a great job as Robotnik, and I forgot the main star's name outside of the person who voiced Sonic.
Oh,
But all the
nice.
yeah, all the cast did a great job, and Sonic was done really well. Like his reworked animation and everything looked great, and it was comical.
Mhm.
The girls loved it, and
Good, good.
and I had a ball myself. I'm definitely gonna buy it when it comes out, and they even like just like there's like small touches where, like for instance, the town that Sonic is living in,
Hmm.
it's called Green Hill, and from the game, the first level is Green Hill Zone,
Yeah, yeah. I remember
and
that.
they incorporate his rings and why they're important in a really interesting way, and they even have I forgot the race that Knuckles is from, or like what the race that Knuckles is, but they have a bunch of those characters too in the beginning of the film, which I
Oh,
thought was pretty sweet. And they also have nods to other aspects of not just Sonic but other Sega games. So
okay.
It's definitely something like you could rewatch and kind of like pick up like little Easter eggs here and there, like in like musical score or just visual things that they've done. That's like, oh, I know what that's from.
Mm-hmm.
So did an awesome job, and it shows. I mean, it's I think it beat, yeah, its opening week did better than the Pikachu film, the
Oh
Pokemon.
wow. Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, if you're gonna give me multiple of these video game films, I'm ready. I'm ready. Like,
Yeah.
let's do this. Let's get some good ones in there. Because there's not many. It's not many.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I do
I
want to see that one.
I also saw Birds of Prey,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't bad. It was funny, and I think that Margot did a better job as Harley Quinn this time around because it's morely focused on her. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that the trouble that it's having at the box office is because of the name. It was Birds of Prey, and then it was like something, 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 something Harley Quinn, and so they I want to say they changed the name recently to Harley Quinn, uh, Birds of Prey, and so they kind of make because people didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
and it wasn't advertised very well. Like a lot of people didn't know that the movie was coming out, and
Oh,
or what the ties it had to Suicide Squad. It's better than Suicide Squad, just
great.
right off the bat. Um, but it's not the greatest of stories, and the characters are there's some characters that there's this thing with comic book films that I don't like where they take a known character and it might be like a B or C level character and they put them in a place to essentially die. I mean, they have like lines and they might move the story here or there, but for the most part, they're there to be, like, oh, I know that guy, and he's gonna die. Like that's what they are,
Mm,
and it's kind of bad because those characters are kind of cool,
yeah.
and so
Mm,
those type of treatments and are some things that I don't like. But as far as the comedy and the flow of the movie, it's not bad. Like I had a really good time. Uh, Definitely a popcorn film.
mhm.
And honestly, all it had to do was be better than Suicide Squad, and it is by a lot.
You're like, the bar is set really low, guys. Just be better than Suicide Squad, which no one liked.
Yes, they jumped a lot, like they jumped over that bar by a couple of feet. So
I have
definitely check
a
that out.
question. I have a question for you. Do you have this feeling? I do have this feeling, and maybe it's because I don't go to the movies enough, but I feel like Marvel has done a better job at making their movies than DC has. And I
Yes.
have a tendency to feel that these DC movies, they keep, like, there's like this fail, there's this capital fail measure. And it's like, hey guys, you're missing something. Maybe you should call the Marvel guys up and figure out what it is.
I think there's a bunch of different things, and mind you, I don't make films,
Mhm.
so uh, and though I critique them, and what do critics know? Whatever. But the I think DC tried to catch up with Marvel too quickly. Uh, I think the Avengers paid off really well because we had multiple films,
Right.
whereas DC we had the new, because they reintroduced Superman, and then right after that we had Batman versus Superman, and it was like that didn't go over too well. I mean, it wasn't a horrible film, but it was kind of the theater released film, what they released in the theater, they cut out important parts that kind of made it bad or worse than it was. And the extended version kind of helped a little bit, but it was still kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And then we had the Justice League film after, I want to say, no, I think did Wonder Woman come out before that?
I think Wonder Woman came out before Justice League.
Okay, so then we had one more film, and then we had Justice League. And so they were kind of doing it backwards. Like they were grouping people very quickly. Whereas, Marvel, we had the Hulk, then we had Iron Man, then we had Captain America, then we had like they had a series of films where you get to
Yeah.
know these characters. So then you don't need a whole lot of character development. Like this is
Yeah.
a problem. We already are comfortable with who these people are.
Yeah.
Boom, movie, right? And so I think DC they just tried to catch up to what Marvel was doing too quickly, and because all the solo films, Wonder Woman did really well,
Hmm.
uh, Aquaman did really well,
Yeah.
and Shazam did really well. And I think Shazam I think is my favorite. Uh, and then like Wonder Woman is just like awesome. And then followed by not Poseidon, Aquaman.
Right.
um, and but like so the solo, because they weren't necessarily trying to group people together, they weren't trying to kind of rush a plot, rush a story. And then on the other side is special effects. They I think DC does a really good job with hyper or very like kinetic fighting, where like you could feel the energy, like Superman punches someone and like the camera flies with them to
Yeah.
wherever they are, and the characters are, or the actors are actually doing the movements, and then they're being sped up by the and so like it looks like it's like when Superman punches someone, it looks like it hurts because everything is moving with them, and I
Yeah.
think they did a good job of that. Same thing with Wonder Woman. But on the flip side, there's also like the Justice League film, there was some really bad CGI, and um, Cyborg looked like, when he had his, just his metallic body, he looked really, really bad. And some things felt rushed and et cetera, et cetera. Now, granted, there's some leeway there because the original director, his daughter passed away, unfortunately, and
Oh
uh,
no.
um, Josh Whedon had to go in and kind of finish the film
Oh.
after the fact, and so there was a little bit of, everyone's like, the not everyone, a few people are like, release the Snyder cut because it's better, and it's like, no, it probably would have been bad too. Um, and I say that not to be not to diss him,
Mhm.
but is that no one seems to ever tell him no. Like, he tries to put so much into everything, and it just kind of falls apart.
Got it.
Um, like, I think he's good, but yeah, when you look at some of his other films, and um even like Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, is like there's parts that just they don't move together all that well. And
Okay.
so I think they just need to slow down. I think they need to develop the characters a little bit more. We have the next Wonder Woman movie coming up I think it's coming out this year,
Yeah, it comes
uh,
out this year.
which should be good. And Shazam 2, I heard, is being worked on. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I think eventually we should move into also they need to stop, if they're going to make a universe like the MCU. I think they need to stop with the kind of I don't know, one-off films. Like, granted, the Joker won like awards, and it's huge, but then it's like, is this Joker isn't the one that we seen in Suicide Squad. It's not the Joker that's supposed to be a part of DC Universe. It's a totally different thing. Excuse me.
Right. I agree with you.
And so it's like, it's not confusing, but it is, because there's a new Batman, and because um man, I'm
Oh
bad
yeah.
with names tonight.
I know. Okay,
Uh,
so what's his face? Robert Pattinson is gonna do
yes.
Batman now, and I am, again. I don't know about what they're doing with their contracts and this, that, and the other, and I don't know what their ratings are. When people are like, oh, you got to change this person, but I mean, that's a lot. I feel like
Yeah.
it's a lot. That's a lot of Batmans for, I mean, I know that Batman is supposed to change every so often. It's kind of like James Bond. You only get a certain amount of movies, but I'm just saying, I mean, like, we grew up with our Batman. We grew up with Michael Keaton, and then we had to let Michael Keaton go, and then he turned into what's his face from what's his
Yeah,
name?
we're not gonna talk about Bat
Wrong
Nipple
guy.
Guy. We're not gonna talk about gonna talk, but yeah, well, in this case, I think it's a little different because you know Ben Affleck was Batman, and he was gonna direct the solo Batman film, but because he dropped out of it, he said recently that it was because of the way Justice League came about, and that I guess his script and everything, it just wasn't working out with DC
Okay.
and Warner Brothers, and so he kind of dropped out. So that means they have to introduce a new Batman, but they're also making so the solo Batman film, from what I understand, isn't going to be it's not going to follow Batman versus Superman and the Justice League. I think it's going to be a new Batman that kind of reboots everything, and then again, it's like, so what
What?
does that leave the other character? Like, I don't, like, I'm confused. The fact that I don't know uh what's happening with the new Batman
Yeah.
is because I'm into comics, and I read, and I'm looking forward to the film, which comes out in 2021. I don't know if it's going to be a part of their whole, the world that they're building. And so, or if it's going to be a prequel. I like because that works because I know Aquaman was a prequel, or not.
Right.
No, not Aquaman. Wonder Woman was a
Yeah.
prequel before the Justice League movie. So cool. If we're going to go it that way, then fine, and then we can kind of like, kind of superimpose him in similar to Iron Man 2 with Don Cheadle taking over whatchamacallit's part or role. Like if they did something like that, then I'm like, okay, we can kind of move forward. But if it's going to be a totally different, you know,
Yeah.
beast, then I'm kind of like,
I feel
I
like when they do that, it's like, what was the point of this movie that you just made a year ago? That I mean, like, get it together. That's how I feel. Get it together because at least with Marvel, it's like they had plans. They had a 10-year plan for certain things, and they're like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is who we need on board. Oh, and by the way, if this person comes on board, then we can take this other project, which is going to be 5 years from now. And then contracts are put into place, and then people aren't allowed to just make decisions without being fined. So I'm just, I don't know. I can't say that that's what's really happening here, but it just seems very haphazard. You
yeah,
know?
it's like it's almost like they're trying to fix things, or they realize like, you know what, this might not work out, so we need to go back to the drawing board, which confuses the fans because this is not that long ago that we had Ben Affleck.
Right.
And so what I'm reading here is that it is going to be a part of the DC extended universe. I just don't know how it fits. Are they going to be? Is it going to be after the Batman Justice League thing, or is it going to be a prequel? I'm not sure, but the idea is that he's going to reboot Batman, and then also be a part of the extended universe. I want to see it. I saw the suit that they showed. It looked like the suit from Batman Arkham, the video game. So to me, it looked pretty cool.
Okay.
I want to see it, but I'm also like, what is happening? Like, I'm gonna have to wait till a trailer comes out to kind of be like, oh, okay, this is what's going down. All right, cool, cool, cool. I am curious about some of the other people. I mean, they have Riddler, and Zoe Kravitz is going to be Catwoman. So
Yay! Just go, Zoe. I'm so excited.
yeah, so it looks like it's going to be pretty cool, and I'm a big fan of the Riddler,
Yeah.
not the Jim Carrey version. We're just going to pretend like that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
strange.
yeah. uh, so I want to see it. I'm just like at the same time I'm like, come on DC, like get it together. Like they need to get to the point of like their animation. Um,
Yeah.
their animation
Batman
studios.
Begins. I mean, not Batman Begins. Batman Beyond.
Yes, and like all the recent movies and stuff they've done, except for The Killing Joke. That one was kind of bad. But most of their stuff has been really great, better than Marvel in that
Mhm.
regard. So like
Yeah.
Marvel seems to have the movies on lock, DC has the cartoons on lock.
Yeah.
I just need them to kind of merge and get it together because I want all of it to be great.
Yeah.
Um,
We all
so
do. We all want, yeah, we want our favorite stuff to look good and be enjoyable.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But you saw a movie this week too, right?
I saw a movie this week. I saw two movies this week. I'm so proud of myself. That's two movies
Awesome.
more than I typically see. So we're doing big things over here. Yeah. Maybe all I need to do was travel. That's how I could see movies. So anyway, like I said last week, I did travel for the first time in a long time. I went to California, saw some friends, had a good time. Um, and I saw Dolittle while I was out there.
Uh-huh.
And I hear that some people are not happy, maybe because it's not like the not like the Eddie Murphy versions, which, mind you, Eddie Murphy's Dr. Dolittle was hilarious. It was awesome, but this is also really good. So, I'm just on that path where both of them can be good. Why can't both of them be great? I enjoyed it. I enjoy almost everything that Robert Downey Jr. does, except maybe that movie Black and White, which was a horrible movie, but it was also really funny to see Mike Tyson punch him in the face. That that was that movie was awful, but I mean,
So
Raekwon.
that's why you like it. Okay. Okay.
But no, Robert Downey Jr. He's amazing. Robert Downey Jr. is amazing, and it was a good movie. He gets to pull out one of his his practiced accents again. He did that when he played Sherlock Holmes, but he's a Scotsman this time,
Okay.
and I just think it's really cute. It is. It's really cute. The CGI is awesome. They put a lot of jokes in there and make it really relevant. Um, the characters are all voiced by an all-star cast, like Octavia Spencer Emma Thompson, um, what's his face, Craig Robinson.
Wow.
Uh, a bunch of people are in that movie, and it's just hilarious. It is. It really, really is hilarious, and it's like a love story, and I enjoyed it, and I saw it with a kid, so I'm gonna like it. I was looking at it through a 9-year-old lens. Okay, I didn't go as an adult with my adult friends and was like, hey, let's go see Doolittle, and then like get pissed off. No, I saw it with a 9-year-old, and she was happy, therefore I was happy, and I may have
Okay.
had a cocktail, so I was
Oh,
all.
see, it's just coming into view. Like,
Yeah,
I know I think I want to rent it.
yeah,
I'm not sure if I want to go to the theater to see it.
yeah.
Um, I was shocked though that it got like a 14 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like 14?
Out of 100.
How bad does this film have to be?
I
Like,
mean,
I
that
think
just had to be some rude people
I think
reviewing it.
the last time a film got well, at least that I remember got a 14 was the Avatar movie, by
Last
M. Night,
Airbender.
and I was like, that's just bad,
Okay.
just so
Yeah,
bad.
that's horrible.
And
That's
like,
terrible.
it's like I agreed with the Last Airbender, but I was like, it can't be that bad, can it? So I think I'm gonna rent it just to be on the safe side.
Mhm,
Um, and considering I'm not gonna be drinking when I see it,
mhm.
um, yeah, but I was interested. I was interested in because the trailers look fun. There was, with the animals and they
Mhm.
seem like larger than life, action. Uh, kind of remind me of Pirates of the Caribbean a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
and
actually.
I was like, oh, okay, I might
I
have to, check that out.
To be honest, I feel like they kind of kept to a formula. They didn't go too far out there. It's almost like this is one of those ideas where it's like, you know what? This is our budget. This is who we're going to hire. We're going to let our actors we're going to let our actors do the advertising for us. You have Robert Downey Jr. returning to an English role. I shouldn't say English, a Scottish role, and everybody, and then all of these other actors. So it's kind of like, okay, let's see what these people can do, and it's colorful and it's fun, and it does take on that Pirates of the Caribbean idea. So it's like I don't want to say it in a mean way, but it's like we don't have to work so hard. Let's take a model that's already there, stick an
Mm,
all-star cast in it. The story can remain simple. Every time, you have a big budget with a love story, it's very simple. Boy meets girl, boy
right,
loses girl, boy does something great to either get girl back or to move past losing. It's simple, and
right.
a kid might like it. It may be slightly long. I do feel like movies that are meant for children really, really, really need to stop passing the 90-minute mark. That's just how I feel. It is not easy to keep kids occupied for that long, and unless things are blowing up every 5 seconds, kids gotta pee. Okay,
Right.
that let's just like common sense. Kids need to pee. Kids get cold, they get hot, they get antsy. They just are not good sitting still for long periods of time. And so when you pass that 90-minute mark, I mean, I was there with a child and an adult. The adult was the one who wanted to leave.
Mm.
She was just like, I have grocery shopping to do. Mind you, I am really great. I might be ADHD, but I have a great attention span, okay? Because I might pay too much attention to one thing. That's where my ADD differs from others. But I'm just saying that I enjoyed it, but I'm also a weirdo. I enjoy dumb things, apparently, because a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes is basically putting me in the minority.
And that's fine. That's totally fine. I mean, everyone has films, shows that not everyone likes. Like I like Speed Racer and the
I
film.
love Speed Racer.
And apparently people hated Speed Racer, and I'm like, did you see the anime? Like,
It was great.
did you see that? Because it kind of the same. I mean, granted, they had to change some things,
Yeah.
and to be fair, Speed Racer got a 40, but it's
Mhm.
people didn't like it, and I was like, Speed Racer's kind of great. I don't understand. Like, I just don't. So, I mean, and then there's some movies that I like that I know people aren't gonna like, that I know they're kind of bad. Like I
Right.
like the Transformer films. Um,
Michael Bay.
and I'm like, they're bad, but it's also cool to see the Transformers. Uh,
Yeah.
one of my favorite cartoon, shows or whatever.
But the first
So
Transformers was great. I mean, the other ones had issues, but the first one was
the
great.
last one, not Bumblebee. Bumblebee was great, but the one before that,
The
that was
last night,
yeah, that was even bad for me.
it
That
was
was
trash.
yeah, that was rough. That was real rough.
I mean, trash beyond compare.
I couldn't save it. I was like, I can't
No,
defend you.
there was nothing. There was like some cool like jokes, but no,
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
no.
So yeah, so there's always gonna be a film that like, you know what? It's you're just gonna have to like it. That's
Yeah,
all. It's
I
not
mean, if you're gonna go see Dolittle, I'm just saying, if you're gonna see it. Make sure your screen is big and your Dolby is plugged in. You do need the loud noises. I think they're worth it. Like it's one of those movies that does need the noise, and the colors are so like it was just extremely colorful. It was almost like Avatar colorful. The good Avatar, not the stupid Last Airbender, which we can trash talk later. I am not afraid. Okay, I am not. M Night Shyamalan, come knock on my door. Okay, we can have a conversation.
oh my
But
gosh, it was such a bad movie.
shots fired. It was terrible. That's
Horrible.
we've seen no sequels because it was trash. And until somebody comes along and says, "Hey, I'm going to redo this," I don't want to talk.
Oh my God. I was so disappointed at how bad it was. Uh
I
and not
know.
like disappointed like because it's a very good show
Oh, so
that
good.
you tried to shrink into like but like your actors couldn't even remember like is it Ong or is it Ang? Like
Yeah, they didn't
uh,
even know.
they just we just got a flip flop. It's just how are you feeling today? Is Ong today? All right, we're going with Ong today. All right, cool. Like moment to moment scenes, they kept getting his name wrong.
Yeah. And I'm like, aren't y'all
Um,
friends? Like, you guys are friends. Like,
yeah.
you found him in the ice. You're supposed to know his name. But no, homeboy from what the vampire movie couldn't figure it
Oh my
out.
gosh. And see, and then the everything from the costumes to the
Oh,
special effects, the bad hair pieces,
oh,
the rushed story, the
oh.
yeah.
I watched it with the volume off again. There was another one. I think one of these weeks I'm just going to produce a list of all the movies that I watch without sound to make them better.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I couldn't even do that. I couldn't. I just yeah, it's one of those movies. I was just really disappointed in that I spent money and I
Yeah.
couldn't get that time back.
Nope.
Um, I think the movie before that that made me feel that way was the movie that was aping 300. It was a comedy that was making fun of the 300 film series. I can't remember the name of it, but uh, that was really bad too. And
I didn't see it.
I saw that for free and was still disappointed.
I wanted your
Like,
money back.
yeah, like you got to pay me. That was how bad that was. Um, but yeah,
Oh,
uh,
wait a
not to
minute.
do.
Meet the Spartans.
Yes, it was rough. And because that movie was aimed at teens and anyone who likes scary movie, and it was even the teens that were in the audience with us was like, this is not really funny. The jokes are really bad. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
I was upset. I got a free ticket. So because my thinking is go see take a chance when you have a free ticket because you're not
Yeah.
paying for it.
Yes.
And no, it was such a bad call. It was such a bad call. Um, my brother was like, "Don't ever take me to see anything like this again." And I was like, "My bad. I thought it was gonna be a little bit better. Method Man is in it. I mean, I just thought it was gonna be better. Like, no, no, it was quite bad.
I saw it, but I don't remember. And that's funny because like I remember those parody movies. Did like disaster movie.
Yeah,
I remember those movies and I don't remember anything from Meet the Spartans. I don't.
I
Not one
just
thing.
comedy is a hard thing, and I'll just leave it at that. Like, I want to be like, did you really think this was funny?
Yeah.
Like this, like you were in a meeting with people and it was like, yo, this is a joke. and then you said it right, and then people did they laugh or did they kind of just stare at you for a long time? And it was
Yeah.
like, we already spent however much money hiring these people. Let's just go with it. Like, how did
Mhm.
this work? How did we get to this? Um, yeah, I could name a ton of movies that are much better for people to go see. Um, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog is great. Birds
Right.
of Prey is
Right.
slightly less great, but still great.
Right.
And Dr. Dolittle is apparently good if you're with the kid and you have a little drink. So
Yeah, exactly. Cocktail and child, and just listen to the jokes. They're there. All of the animals are hilarious. It's a lot of fun. So go with that. I did see another movie,
oh
and that was Parasite, which we talked about not last week, but the week before, or did we? No, we did
yes,
talk about it last week. Yeah.
last week too. Yep.
And I know you saw it,
hmm
and you saw it in the theater, and I actually do wish I saw it in the theater because the cinematography was fantastic.
Yes. Yes.
I was very impressed. I was just impressed at those long moments with the camera in front of them, like when the characters were walking. Especially there's a scene where the woman of the house is giving a tour to um, one of the other characters, and I was like, I just loved the way the camera was in front of them as they were walking, and I was like, this is nice. Just because of the explanation of luxury and all these types of things. So it's just like the cinematography just went along with the theme of the movie so well.
Yeah, they did an awesome job with the sweeping cuts and the uh because it's one of those films that are like it's long in the sense that there's a lot of dialogue and there's a lot of things happening
Hmm.
even at a slower pace
Hmm.
that you really have to pay attention, and the way that it was shot helped in that regard, because they focused on certain things that kind of heighten the scene or played with color and tone and
Hmm.
um, to kind of relay a message outside, because a lot of it is blunt, like a lot of it is like in your face, but then there's a lot of subtlety that you kind of pick up after the fact, because I,
Hmm.
I saw it in the theater and then I ended up buying it when it came out digitally,
Hmm.
um, and me and my wife saw it again, and I was like, oh, I didn't pick up on this last time, and what
Hmm.
these particular colors mean and what this does, and so it's like, which just seems to be like a theme. I know I said this before, but like where movies are trying to get you to think about things and not just entertain.
Right.
Uh, Mostly in horror, as of late, with like movies like Midsummer and Us and stuff like that, where or Get Out, where they're like taking different things and normal social things and kind of like blowing them up a little bit to kind of to give a certain message.
Hmm.
And on this side, even though it's a thriller, not so much a horror film, it's similar when we're dealing with different things in terms of class and socialism and stuff like that, and the economic differences between different groups of people, and
Right.
what can happen when these people kind of collide. And it's really, really, really good. Like it deserved all the people who are like, you know, a Korean film won. Like, yes, it should have. It's good.
Hmm.
It's a very good film. Uh,
Fantastic.
and it doesn't require explosions, CGI, um, or any other stuff that some of these big movies have
Right.
to sell what it's selling, basically.
Exactly.
Very well acted too.
Very well acted. And I know I had mentioned off air how this movie kind of first of all, it's a great movie, but for if you like Downton Abbey, then you should not dislike this movie. If you like Downton Abbey, this is Downton Abbey on steroids in 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Like, and it's it's so well told. I mean, if you are a person who likes foreign films in the first place, if you're into international films, like I mean I am, and let's even say that you like Korean films. I really do like Korean films. Korean films are great for drama. They're so good. Because I always feel like there is more than one twist. Like there's an American mold to dramas. I mean, I just stated earlier about basically the Western mold. Boy loses girl. I mean, boy has girl, boy loses girl, boy finds power to get girl back. Like every superhero movie is based on this. Like it
Yeah.
there's a mold to successful storytelling. And some people are able to take the classic mold and deconstruct it and rebuild it into something completely new and fresh, and then and you don't even recognize the mold was ever there. And I feel like at least many of the Korean films that I've liked, that I've watched and liked, maybe because I had a tendency to watch Korean films that were on the award list. I think that I used to do that because when I was younger and I used to watch VHS and I would get something from like the store that I worked at or whatnot, the next movie that was recommended was a movie that was already on the film list. And so, like the award list of whatever film festival. And so I ended up seeing maybe really good movies. I didn't see the bad ones, I guess. I'm just guessing because, like, even when I went to Blockbuster, I think I remember going to Blockbuster and renting Orfeu, which is an amazing Brazilian film, the remake of Black Orpheus. And it's an amazing film. And I think while I was watching that, I saw the and now I forgive me, I forgot the name of the movie, but it was a Chinese movie regarding the rise of Mao, I think, and like or like it was like in the time span, but didn't really have anything to do with Mao.
Okay.
And that movie ended up being amazing. So I was just saying, like, I would end up watching all of these international movies that were already on award lists, and so I guess that's just what I was exposed to. And so I've always been a fan of Korean dramas or Korean comedies, and I just like them. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm already just feeling like right there. I'm like, oh God, I've missed this. I haven't seen one in a while. This is a great film. And the twists and the turns were just, I'm sitting there on the couch, like, I'm screaming. I was like, ah! I really was. I was like, oh my God, I hate everyone because it's that good. It's a fantastic film, and I do recommend it. We recommended it last week. We said it was worth the Oscar win. I mean, what did it get? 6 Oscars? Come on,
It got I want to say four.
4 out of
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. I mean, it got nominated for a ton.
Yeah, and so
Definitely great.
it was great. And so those were my two movies that I saw this week, and I recommend those films. Yes, I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
beyond the I guess the movies, uh
Mhm.
we also were to I watched some more anime and of course like being sick or whatever, and I
Yeah.
watched what show did I watch? I'm continuing my watching of Mob Mob Psycho 100, and it's interesting. I got to the end of the second season and learning about like these new characters, these new espers or whatever, and how like kind of like their quirks and like how they work. It reminds me a little bit of like I don't want to say X-Men, but kind of like the X-Men because they're even though they're all like psychic in a way, like that's the umbrella. They have different abilities that are I guess they're still psychic based, but like are different. So like there's a guy who can control plants and a guy who can control fire and a guy who it's like there's a guy that can teleport. Like he's I want to say he's blind, but he can like teleport uh, and like predict movement. And so like he can like if you're going to hit him, he can like predict that you're going to swing a certain way and like
Hmm.
teleport behind you and stuff. And his faction is basically going around the world and trying to collect all of these uh, espers
Okay.
and to like rule the world essentially. And when you find out that the main character, like his goal, at first it was just like I'm gonna get these people and I'm going to use them as an army to do my bidding. But you find out he's also uh, a lot because of his ego, because he goes around the world and he never supposedly he never finds anyone that's stronger than him. And so he's like, this is the reason I should take over. The world is telling me that I should just be your boss because none of you are great as I am. And
Okay.
it's interesting with when it comes to Mob because he's like, he's like, you do need people. You're not an island, and I'm actually stronger because I have people, my relations and stuff like that. So it's similar to a lot of anime stories, uh, but it's also wacky. Like there's a character who can't go out and like be around people. He's afraid, and so
Interesting.
he's given like a an umbrella, and so as long as he's under the umbrella, he can like walk around people and be okay. But he's like immensely powerful and doesn't really know it. And so it's comical like when he interacts with other people and they mess with his umbrella or they get into a fight or whatever. He's trying to protect himself or protect other people,
Yeah, I get
and
it's a
this
safety net.
yeah, it's like a big safety net, even though he's fighting people with it, and he doesn't realize that he doesn't really need it. Um, and like people are like trying to just manipulate him and to do other things. So like a lot of the stuff in Mob has to do with uh, different mental issues or personality traits where these different personalities are clashing with one another, and some people kind of go above in the sense that they have like a superiority complex, and then other people kind of go below where they feel less than because of their powers or whatever, but all of them are more powerful or more unique than every person in the show because they have
Mm,
abilities. And
okay.
so it's interesting, uh, uh, juxtaposition of a powerful person who is depressed or who has anxiety or who has some other type of issue
Yeah.
where the regular humans like we have none of those things even though they have no abilities, no powers, no anything. And
Hmm.
it's weird because that kind of brings everybody onto like a balanced level, even though like Mob, like if he wanted to he could beat everyone up, but the fact that they have these personality, traits or whatever that clash, someone who isn't an Esper can kind of just like talk down to him, and he gets all sad and like he's defeated. Like it's really interesting.
It's like, who's
Uh,
big boy now, huh?
yeah, like it's really interesting how they set that up, and I definitely recommend that. The I want to say it's just up to season two, and then there's like a longer episode. I don't want to say it's a movie. I think it's like a OVA, but it's longer that kind of like wraps some things up after the fact. But the show is pretty good. I'm late. I want to say the let's see season two. I want to say came out last year sometime.
Okay.
So I'm not too late because season three is not up yet. But definitely check that out. I'm having a great time, or I
Yeah.
had a great time. Hilarious cast of characters and just there's also real quick there's a small group of espers who are they were picked up by this group that are trying to develop or understand psychic powers, and so they got these kids in, and they're like they'd never seen like a really powerful psychic before, and so they have these kids and like one of them's like, yeah, I can control fire, and he like flicks his thumb and this like tiny little flame pops up, and they're like, ooh, ah. There's another person who's like, he can like bend spoons, but like only a little bit, and like they freak out. Whereas Mob is like floating buildings and stuff, like sending cars flying,
Yeah.
and and so it's interesting because or funny, I should say, because they're really excited. They're like, yay, I can do all these little minute things. Um, and it's nothing. It's similar to that movie. Gosh, it's a superhero film where one of the characters can only get invisible if no one looks at him. I forgot the name of it. Um, but it was like it's like that. It's like you're very mediocre in like everything. But this is a big deal to you. Okay, all right. It's great. It's definitely a funny show. Um, if you like One Punch or any of the, I want to believe is done by the same studio. If you like that type of comedy, then definitely check out that show.
Yeah. I'm gonna check that one out. I am.
Oh man, it's great. It's good stuff. Um, what else did I watch? Uh let's see. I talked about The Witcher last week.
Yes,
Um,
which I haven't rewatched. I mean, and I love my Henry Cavill, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't.
oh right,
It,
why?
just one time was enough. It was enough for me. And I know that you've read the books and played the game, so it's different. And I always wanted to play the game because I saw it, on my Xbox, and I know we talked about this like the first week, I think, and I was like, I've always wanted to play it, and I just never did. And certain games, I just like they're I don't I'm the type of person where sometimes I just like to play video games with other people, and you don't even have to play. I just want you here.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, yeah, totally.
And I think that I always felt like that was one of those games. It's like me and my friend, we used to play Tomb Raider together. We sucked playing it alone. I mean, she was better playing it alone, but sometimes, skeletons pop out of the corner and I need some moral support. And so therefore, I just need somebody with me to play these games sometimes, and so I just didn't do it. Yeah,
Well,
that's how.
yeah. I mean, because that's how I played. So like Final Fantasy VII is one of like the best Final Fantasies ever,
Which is
and
reboot.
yeah, the reboot that's coming up in a few months,
Hmm.
and the it's interesting because I never beat that either. Like I played it, me and my friend would play it, and when we finally got to the end of the game, like we were like going back and forth, like passing the controller. But when it got to the end and he fought the final boss, he
Hmm.
actually beat the game. And but at the same time, because I was there, I was like, well, I beat it too.
Yeah,
But
you did.
you know what I mean? But like I wasn't physically playing at that time. And the same thing with Kingdom Hearts. Like I was because it's a one player game, and
Well, but
if you
yeah.
don't have a ton of money to all buy the same stuff, so it's like yeah, we'll take turns and play. And um I so I was living through my friend as they played,
Yeah.
and or because I watched the whole thing, or either played certain chapters or whatever. And so that's the same thing. So like there's been plenty of times where like um what my wife would watch me play like for instance she watched me play The Witcher 3, and just being like to be able to talk about like did you see what happened, like that was crazy, right? Like just to be able to do that is really cool. I think that's one reason why people stream a lot, outside of the fact that they can make money, is that you can have an audience even though no one's in the room with you, uh, because it's definitely a communal thing.
Yeah.
Like granted, there's sometimes I do want to play by myself, but there are times where I'm like, yo, did you see that? And like no one's around. I'm like, like no one got to see that cool thing that just happened.
Hmm.
um, so yeah, I totally
Yeah.
understand that, especially with some of the like more horror based, or like in Tomb Raider with the skeletons, or like there was one point in the first Tomb Raider where there was like a dinosaur, um that just kind of like I don't know where this place was, where there was a dinosaur, but there's like a T-Rex that comes out in
Wait,
one area.
first Tomb Raider, like first Tomb Raider?
Yeah, the first one.
Okay.
Or was it Tomb Raider 2? It was one of them. And if you there's like a secret place that you can go down on the first level, and it's like you're in like a jungle area,
Is there
and
water? Do you have to go swim through this thing?
yes, there's
Yes.
water you have to swim through. And if you get there on the other side, you can because you can collect um different items and stuff that'll eventually, like when you get to the towards the end of the game, her
Mm-hmm.
mansion will have the things that you collected. And there's a T-Rex. Like I don't know how they kind of explain the T-Rex, because it's not like she goes back in time.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe it's just like a secret island or whatever that she goes to that has the kind of like the what is the name of the island in X-Men? The Savage Land.
Oh yeah. You mean the one where they lost all their powers?
Yeah, like the Savage Land. Like it was something like
Grenosha,
that.
Grenosha.
No, no, no. It was just called the Savage Land. Um,
Oh, yo, you're right. It was called the Savage Land.
and
Yeah.
so when the T-Rex, so there's a point where like I'm walking and the screen is like shaking. I'm like, what is going on? Because so far I've fought like small animals. There might be a bandit trying to steal something. Like but I turned around and my screen is filled with like a T-Rex face, and I freak out because I'm like I've never seen this before. Like
Right.
what? Yeah,
And you
crazy.
don't know what to do because on PlayStation 1 it's like, okay, pause and get eaten. And then
Yeah, like
like,
yeah. I
and
mean,
then
granted, it's not like Resident Evil where like the camera was static, but it was still new in the sense that I don't know what I'm doing. Like my all of the stuff that I learned before that point went out the window.
right.
I just kind of ran and jumped back in the water, and like I made it out alive, but I was like, what just happened? Like, yeah. So I totally understand. Communal play is great.
It is. It really is. And you build this sense of like, and also you can all fail your term papers together if you just don't go to bed on time and don't sleep and don't go to class because you're busy playing. Because I did that.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, and I don't recommend that nowadays, but I'm just saying, back in the day when, I mean, PlayStation 2 was a really, really huge monumental thing. There is no comparison. I don't feel like there's a comparison between like, PS4 and PS3. No, PS2 was monumental. It was groundbreaking. The things that
Yeah.
PS2 was able to do compared to, yeah, where everything is better now, technology is better now, but I'm talking about going from like PS1 to PS2, that was like going from like 1D to like semi 2D, 3D. Like it was just
Yeah.
better. And I played a lot of Vice City, or I watched a lot of Vice City, and and that, you know,
Yeah.
didn't do a
The
lot of
PS2
it.
was great, and I mean it's one of the most sold consoles ever.
Yeah.
Even when the PS3 was out, PS2 was still selling.
Yep.
They had so many games, so many good games, and yeah, it's what's interesting though with the PlayStation 2 and just PlayStation in general is
Hmm.
that it would have never happened if Nintendo didn't screw over Sony. Because
Right.
they had a it's gonna be the Nintendo PlayStation. They were gonna have a new console that it's I mean you think of it as a hybrid now, but it was supposed to be Sony kind of getting into the gaming industry and
Uh-huh.
Nintendo that Sony was going to I want to say develop the console and Nintendo was going to have all their games and stuff be on it, and Nintendo kind of pulled a 180 during E3. It was like, nah, fam, we got this. It's cool, and there was the bad blood since then, but it was like man, like that would have been interesting, and with them not going through with the deal, you created a competitor that's like
Yeah,
like
they
way
still.
up there, like you you really kind of kicked yourself in the face
Hmm.
with that. But with that being known, like the console itself never came out, obviously, and someone I forget his name because I've forgotten everyone's names. Uh, he there's a person that's actually auctioning it off the prototype console. I want to say it's gotten up to $1 million
Wow.
right now. Uh, which is cool and not cool at the same time. I think it's cool for the person who has it because that's I mean all your bills are paid now
Right.
uh, via the auction. But the it's one of those things where like this would be cool if this was in a museum, and I don't think the person who has it like museums don't have enough money to pay to get the console.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and even if they did, they could pay for so many other things with that money. And so whoever buys it is probably going to keep it, and then or it's going to end up getting destroyed, and that's kind of sucky because it's a part of history, even though it didn't come out.
Right,
And
right.
so that's the only sucky part. But it's still pretty cool that there's this machine that would have had PlayStation and Nintendo in the same box. Like if you think about it, that would have been pretty great in the sense that we'd had Mario and Crash Bandicoot and whoever else. I think it was Spyro at the time. They were like the Sony mascots.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, all on one system.
Yep.
I mean, we kind of have it now with the Switch, but back then it would have been a big deal.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
it would have been a huge, huge, huge thing to have, because then Sony would have brought their in-house companies to make their games for this. There wouldn't have been much competition. I mean, Xbox would eventually come about, but there
Right.
wouldn't have been a ton of competition with these two powerhouses together.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so that would have been interesting. Just a bit of history for everyone if you didn't know.
Knowledge.
Knowledge is knowledge is great. Especially for video games. It doesn't really matter unless you're playing Jeopardy, but still, still. Um,
It's like one of those rando Jeopardy, final Jeopardy questions when you're actually listening that day. You're actually sitting down at 7:30 or watching the show, and you're like, oh my God, I just got this answer right. What did you
yeah,
win? Nothing.
nothing at
Just
all.
pride amongst your family members if they happen to be in the room.
Yeah, or anybody who's nerdy. It's like, oh, you knew that? Okay, get your stripes. There you go. But for everyone else, practical, you just really don't need unless you have the item and you
Right.
can sell it. then it's good to know what you have because you don't want to go low because this is like I said, this is going for a lot of money. Um, I can't remember the.
I just Googled it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and so this guy, his name is Terry Diebold. He has it, and it's being auctioned. And let me see how much he's doing it for.
Should be a decent amount.
1.2. Wait, it says that yeah, last week he told Kotaku that he turned down 1.2 million, and a person in Norway wanted to buy it.
Wait, he turned down the money?
He turned down 1.2 million.
Why?
So all Sony needs to do is say, "I will buy it for 1.3." You know?
Interesting.
And
Wait,
yeah,
wait. So, oh wait, he's saying that that was his best. That was the best offer.
I mean, he's just saying that. Um, wait, yeah, it says right here. The auction. Okay, so it's gonna be bidding online. They can start bidding in February. It's scheduled for March 5th through 7th. But he just said that. This is
Oh, I get it. They want to buy it now, and he's like, I can get way more money if I
yeah,
don't.
he's like, screw you.
Oh, because I'd have been like, dude, that's a lot of money. Like,
All right.
what are you doing? But so yeah, so that's I mean, that's really cool, and that's a piece of history there that he has.
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't get destroyed or mangled or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
because that I think they only made one. Like I
Well,
think they only made one.
this article is saying that there are several prototypes.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah, but it's maybe this prototype was the one that was closest to what would have been delivered.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah,
The
and
most finished one.
yeah, and he managed to get it because he worked for some company called Advanta Corporation that went bankrupt, and so he got it at a blind auction, I guess.
Wow.
Um, I don't know how much he got it for, but
Man, yeah,
yeah, apparently
yeah.
he's taken it to many gaming conventions, I guess, showing it around, and now he's ready to part with it.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, I hope he gets everything he's asking for,
yeah,
'cause I just think like what I could do with like $1 million.
yeah. I think about that too, and then I slap myself silly because I'm like, yeah, I spent a lot of my childhood thinking about what I would do with $1 million. Many a missed homework assignment were not done while I was daydreaming.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, for me, it would just I would pay off a lot of debt. Like
Yeah,
I would be debt free because you know how much I would have a ton of money right now if I didn't have any debt.
I
Uh,
know.
I
That
was able to.
sucks.
It does. Like I was able to pay off my student loans. Thank God.
Oh,
Yep. I want to say 2 years ago, I was able to pay off that, and then so then we have my wife loan, and then
mhm.
the actual house. We have to like
Yeah,
pay all
yeah.
the stuff for the house, but like being able to pay those things off would be great because then you just have a surplus, like outside of your bills, and bills can change. You can like you don't have to have cable and stuff like that. Like you can get rid of certain bills and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, so then it's just a surplus of in your savings or wherever, like if you're investing and stuff like that, like not having debt is
Yeah.
such like a freeing thing. And so that would be my like it wouldn't like I wouldn't like buy cars or buy whatever. Like no, just don't make me owe anybody. I don't want to owe
Yeah.
nobody anything.
No, anybody.
Like nothing. Like no. um,
Just no more.
no, I
No,
wouldn't.
no.
And then because at that point, like there's really nothing. There's nothing I could foresee buying. Like I probably would invest in certain things.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely invest.
like especially in like my own endeavors, so like the podcast and things like that, like
Yeah.
there'll be some definite upgrades. But as far as like just like spending willy nilly, like that's a ton of money to go through.
Yeah.
um so like I can only I can only root for him because I know what that's freeing, as long as he doesn't go and like gamble or anything. Like
Who knows? He might go and buy another piece of history,
I well, if he could flip it, then cool. But
right?
if not, I'm like, yeah, man, don't.
Like, I'm
Just
gonna go buy a rock. What? Yeah, apparently it's some 6 billion year old rock that, some dinosaurs peed on. I'm gonna buy it. Put it
What?
on my bookcase. Just
If
gonna,
no,
just
if he gets some 6 billion for it, then cool. Like other than that, you can have your dinosaur pee rock. I know.
be like, what if it was Yoshi that peed on it?
Shoot.
Yoshi!
Mm-mm. No. Yeah, I would have to be on mushrooms to to buy that.
Seriously, seriously.
Oh my goodness.
That'd be funny.
But
Ah,
anywho,
what
I
else? You've read some cool manga, haven't you?
all right. Thanks for reminding me. I did. So we talked about Anthony Robinson a
Yes.
few podcasts ago, and he created the manga Akai.
Mm-hmm.
So I said I was gonna buy it, and I did. I
Yes.
bought the first chapter, it's chapter 0, so that kind of introduces, the characters and such. And it was cool. Like it was done really well. The artwork is really good. And done by see, and there's some things I won't critique for the most part. There's some things that I would kind of say just on my side of things or what I believe in to be better. For instance, the artist, he goes by Zeed. I'm not sure if that's his real name or not, and I don't know who he is. Like I want to look him up, but he kind of goes by this moniker, and I know that nowadays that's a thing. We have like the biggest Fortnite player is Ninja, right? That's his name is Ninja, but people do know his real name.
Right.
Uh, whereas this particular person, he's not at that status yet, so I don't know. So I wanted to kind of give him props, but I couldn't find his name anywhere. And same thing with like some of the other people that are responsible for the comic or for the manga. I couldn't find them, and or either I like because you just type in certain things. It's like being that you're not famous, other people kind of pop up that have a similar whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and so I couldn't really find him. But his artwork is really good, and he's able to draw because everything is in black and white, and like it's shonen based, so uh, or manga. So like you're reading from right to left,
Mm-hmm.
and but all the characters like it's a black based book. All the characters are or a lot of the characters are black, and he draws them well. Like I'm not. It's not like Mr. Popo or whatever. Like they're drawn really well and they look like us. Like you could write like, oh, that's a black person. Like okay, and he has an afro or he has a whatever, and it looks good. It looks good. The story is done really pretty well. There's not a whole lot. It's more like a pilot in this sense, with introducing the characters and what's going on. It reminds me a lot of Naruto, like
Mm-hmm.
some of the first episodes of Naruto, with that being a school or a facility or whatever that's based on martial arts. So like different people can kind of compete in different aspects and kind of like level up in society based on their fighting ability. And there's a class system. So like the people who are really good or like advanced or whatever get to go and try out, and then they can, I want to say, just be, and I could be messing this all up. I don't know a whole lot about the story, but from what it looks like, it seems, when you win these tournaments or whatever, you are thrusted into a new status of class member. Uh,
Ah.
but the character also goes to school outside of that, and the school itself isn't, um, based on martial arts, but the academy or the place that he's trying to get to is. And outside of doing other jobs. So it's kind of like going to college, but it's like for fighting and stuff. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a lot of different things that are like if you've read Naruto, that you kind of pick up on that are similar, and not in a bad way. It's not like he's copying, but there's an instance where like the character goes to a food stand or a food shop, similarly to how Naruto goes to the ramen stand, and he gets his special order of whatever, and the cook is a friend who also gives him advice and such. So in that sense, it's similar to Naruto, where he goes and get ramen, and then he talks to his friends or whatever and
Mm-hmm.
gets advice. Similar in the same thing, and the fighting is actually pretty cool too, where they use different um, effects or um, to kind of show the fighting and like the abilities and stuff like that, because they don't, with it being an introduction, you don't know like if it works on like a key system or if it's kind of like actually no, um yeah, Naruto is key, and then I think Dragon Ball Z is key too, but different.
Yeah.
But like, so like how they get their power, it doesn't really explain that just yet.
Okay.
But it reminds me of that in a sense, like, you know, how the body and soul allow you to do like really cool things,
Right.
even though you're still human. Um, so there's a lot of that, and there's all these parts in between where like they're in color, or like where they will kind of like flash a character's face, and instead of being in black and white, it'll be in color. Um, so all in all, like what you would kind of expect from a typical manga,
Mm.
but with a black writer and black characters and stuff like that. So from what I can see is really cool. I think that someone should kind of edit in places, not
Mhm.
so much the writing for the comic, but they have parts where they do like a little bio of like who they are or like Q&A, and it seems like it was just pulled from like a blog of sorts. And I'm not sure if Z if his first language is English or not.
Mhm.
Uh, but when he kind of explains certain things, he leaves out words, and it's kind of hard to kind of understand what he's saying at points. And so
Mm.
I think that someone could kind of come in and like a soft edit to kind of make it a little bit more legible for your
Legible.
readers.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think it's a good start, and I look forward to kind of seeing more. The
Okay.
characters are so far have been interesting, and the artwork's really good, so not bad.
Mm. All right. So it's a thumbs up, y'all.
Yes, definitely. And I you could buy it digitally. Um, I bought it digitally for on Amazon, but you can also get the like a physical copy. I wanted to get the physical copy, but I got impatient. And so because I had meant to buy it, a while ago, and I kept forgetting. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna just get the digital copy because I didn't want to wait for like shipping and stuff. And
Yeah.
so I went and did that. But you can get a physical copy of the book, which a while back it was selling out, so there might be a little wait. Um, but that's always a good sign. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
that people are actually buying the book. So yeah, and that's um, Anthony Robinson and Anime Bay on Twitter, and yeah, definitely check his stuff out. The
Nice.
next one, the chapter one.
Mhm.
So because the one I had was zero, so chapter one comes out on actually the 29th of this month.
All right. Look for that.
Yep, and it's called Akai, just in case. That's AKAI. So, yep,
I'm
def-
excited for that.
I am too. I'm always like interested in well, the idea that kind of being on the ground floor when someone's gonna is where you can support someone who's growing up in terms of their whatever their craft is, and then also just encouraging someone who looks like us to do some great things. Um, and it just so happens that it's Black History Month, so hey, it all works. All works. Definitely.
All right. I'm excited for that. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Um, some other stuff that's coming out. The Boondocks is getting a reboot this year on HBO. What?
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I could, because I know, Adult Swim, what they could and couldn't say
Yeah.
was I mean, yeah, and this is gonna be HBO. Like, man, I can
They
only imagine.
no no limits. It's gonna be insecure, like on steroids, you know?
It's gonna be nuts.
They're gonna and I mean and I this is also kind of what hurts me that John Witherspoon is no longer with us because like can you imagine John Witherspoon unleashed HBO, playing granddad, uh,
Yeah.
just out of control, out of control. Just absolute nuts, just like you said. I mean, I don't even know what I don't even know what turns it's gonna take at this point. Like what more trouble can Huey and Riley get into? Like
I don't
what
even.
can Uncle Ruckus do? Like I don't even know what to say.
I mean, I can imagine. I want to know the topics,
Yeah,
the things that he's going to be covering. That he might have felt like he was restrained, or he couldn't really talk about completely or in full detail like he did on Adult Swim.
exactly.
Because HBO is just going to let whatever fly. Like I'm
Yes,
curious to kind of see what it is he does.
yes,
Um,
definitely.
because the writing is really good. There was parts where, because we were talking about the comic,
Hmm.
uh when he had the comic strip and everything, and like there were parts in the comic strip where I felt that his writing was a little bit better
Yeah, I
because
agree.
he was restrained, and so you had to zero in on his message, or I should say he had to zero in on his message in order to get it across, whereas the cartoon or the anime that he did, excuse me, it was like he had a really good point. Like like the R. Kelly episode was like, I mean, that's just almost prolific, right? Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
but then like he would have other episodes where I'm like, I kind of missed the point. Like it was so outrageous that I
Yeah,
totally missed what you were trying to say.
outrageous.
Especially with the latter seasons,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
they started to get little. This is a joke for joke's sake.
Yeah,
And not to say that he can't just be funny, like he
yeah,
can, but he kind of set himself up for this because he
yeah,
always had like a strong message
yeah,
behind whatever he was doing,
yeah.
and so that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I no, I agree with you. I do. And especially in our political climate, it's necessary for him to come back at that because when he was doing his comic strip, and I know that he was doing this when he was in school, like when he was in college and whatnot, but like when it got into the Washington Post, because that's when I started reading it, and I was in high school at the time, I believe. And so I was reading it every day. We used to get the newspaper every day, 12th grade, but so I was reading it all the time. And I would bring it to my government class. So I would clip, if I needed to clip it out, I would. I would clip the Sunday, obviously. That's the one that was in color. So I would cut out the Sunday ones, and I still have a lot of them. I do. I still have them on my person, like in my room. Which is kind of crazy because I've had them since what the year like 1999 and 2000. Like I've had these pieces of paper which are kind of like falling apart, but I used to clip them and bring them to my high school government class. My high school government teacher was the bomb. He was so much fun, and he was a great teacher, and he was really open and let us talk about a lot of topics. And he didn't teach us from the history book. He actually used to threaten us that if we misbehaved, we would have to use the book. Otherwise, he just taught us from the newspaper.
Okay.
And so yeah, he had a different way of kind of a progressive way of thinking. But because he taught us from the newspaper, I used to bring up the Boondocks a lot. And since that was election year in 2000, when we were going into Al Gore and versus Bush,
Yep.
during the primaries, we had Alan Keyes, who was the black man running as a Republican,
Hmm.
and like Alan Keyes was popular. People liked him, and so there's this one comic strip where he's like, where the reporters are going around asking a bunch of white people, like, oh, the Republicans. How is this Alan Keyes guy? Do you like him? Oh my goodness, I love him. The things he says are so on topic. They're so on point. Oh my goodness, he's amazing. So there's only four panels, right? There's only four squares in the Sunday comic strip. First,
Yeah.
so you've got the first square. The interviewer is asking the person, they're like, "Yay! Oh my God, I love Alan Keyes." And the interviewer says, "Will you vote for him?" He's like, uh, um, what would I tell my grandkids? No. And then like he walks away. So the interview goes to the next white person, Republican. He's like, so hey, how do you like this Alan Keyes guy? Oh my goodness, everything he says is amazing. I love him. He's such a great Republican. Will you vote for him? No, my husband's gonna be in the booth with me, and that's not allowed.
Yeah.
And I'm making this up, but like you get my point. Like every scene, every square was, no, I can't vote for him. Like, oh my God, I love everything he does. I love everything he talks about. Are you gonna vote for him? I can't vote for a black guy. That
Yes.
that was the end of it. I remember giving that to my teacher being like, everybody in class, this is a real thing. Like this isn't a joke. I love this comic. And so I read that comic every day. The comic was on point. It never failed. I felt like it always delivered. His message was on point, just like you said. And that's why I felt very different when I started watching this show.
Yeah.
Very different. I was like, this is entertainment versus the strip was a message.
Yes.
But but okay, there's a big but, right? Because sometimes you need entertainment. And the more I watched the show, the more I got sucked into the entertainment factor. And I was like, I can't stop watching this. It just cracked me up. I mean, Regina King just deserves so many high fives.
Yes. She did an awesome job.
Both voices. I mean, I just can't. And the characters are just outlandish. Just all of them. I can't. I could Cat Williams. It's like, come on, man. Come on.
It was hilarious. That one of my favorite was when they was like, what if Martin Luther King didn't die and he was brought back and like they were having a party and to celebrate and he was just angry at all of them. Like, what are you doing with your life? Granted, he used way more colorful words, but it was hilarious. Like I was dying. Like this is great. And there are times when he does those type of things where I'm like, this is
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then, the parts where like he's doing kung fu where like granddad is dating someone who's like a crazy person and like her friend
Yes,
is always like, you can't, I wouldn't take that if I were you or whatever. And like she's like an assassin. So like there's a layer of because I get what he's saying. Like this is
yes,
this is
yes,
definitely a black joke.
yes.
But the assassin, part on top of it was like this is genius
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Or like the Itis episode, like there's a lot of these
Oh
episodes.
God.
Like it's amazing.
The
And then,
Itis episode was so good.
and then there were some episodes, towards the later, and granted, there were some things that were happening behind the scenes, some
Yes,
changes that were being had.
yeah, yeah.
And I think the artists like the one of the artists didn't agree, and there's some other stuff that was going on, but it was just like almost like we don't have time to come up with a message, or we just need to be funny. Like
Yeah,
adult, Cartoon Network or Adult Swim are gonna pay us for this many episodes. Let's
right.
just let's just get those out. And so it removed a lot of the layering of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah,
Uh, and that kind of bummed me out a little bit.
yeah,
Because the comic, like you said, the comic strips, it's just genius stuff.
yeah. They
Like
were.
really, really good stuff. So I'm
Even
looking forward to it.
yeah, totally, totally looking forward to it. I mean, like, I don't. I mean, I'm so excited. I came across it on the news, and I was just like, I got super excited because I was like, oh, I have cable now, which means I can watch it because I couldn't
Yes.
before. I had to wait. Didn't get to watch it at the same time ever because I'm not even joking. This is how like left out I was, and people are like, "Oh my God, you watched the Boondocks, this, that, and the other," talking about the Boondocks. I was like, "No, but I read the comic strip," and I never met anybody outside of like my sister and you, and like seriously, that actually read the strip. Everybody was like, "Yeah, I watched that show. This show was awesome. Do you watch this?" And I was like, "I don't watch it. I used to read the strip all the time, and the strip at one time it was simultaneous, you know,
Yeah.
and because he hadn't stopped it yet." And I was like, yeah, I just read the strip because I didn't have cable in. And so, but I realized that everybody I knew that was watching it, they weren't they weren't on the same. I'm not going to say they weren't on the same level as me, but the level of understanding was different. They were watching it for entertainment factor. They were not
Yeah.
getting the political messages. They weren't getting just the cultural messages. It was just entertainment for them. And I was like, you guys, have you ever read the strip? Like, do you know where his point of view, his actual point of view? And so that irritated me, but then I did start watching it when I was able to, because like I don't remember how I was able to see it or something, but I was like, yeah, this is really funny. Super hilarious. I can't get over with the little McPherson chick with the whole candy on the street like side hustle and
Oh
making
my
herself
gosh.
gangster. I can't get over. I cannot. It's these characters just they were voiced properly. I mean, it was they were well acted. I just have to give them that because I think the only thing that I may have been a little irritated, which I think Aaron Magruder was also maybe a little irritated with or whatnot. Maybe in general people were, but the animation wasn't as great. Like the style was exactly where what we wanted. We wanted the style, but the animation itself was a little lacking. Like it,
Yeah, it depended on, I think, well, because it flowed differently from season to season.
hmm
And that could be kind of like a tribute or like a sign of, I guess, some of the things that were going on behind the scenes.
yeah.
Because there were certain episodes where like there was like fighting, and
Mhm.
because like there's the one where Granddad fought the blind guy.
Yes.
um and so there's that, like, that animation, and then there's the one where he was dating the woman who's an assassin,
Yeah.
and it's the later episodes were way more fluid
Yeah.
in with their fighting and stuff. And
Money.
so it's kind of like it was kind of rough around the edges, and some of that was kind of cool in the sense that, I mean, it was like, I mean, they didn't live in the hood anymore, but they were definitely from the hood.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, all right, it's kind of rough around the edges. I see what
Mhm.
you're doing. Um, but yeah, I definitely can see that. Like, not just not being happy with the final product. I think, and this is kind of where like HBO comes in, where like we're gonna make sure that you get what you need in
Yeah.
order to be, good. Similar to Insecure,
Yeah.
where, like, whatever you need, however you want to tell the story, we'll support you, and
Yeah.
then it turns out to be something great.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I am interested in what they're gonna do with John Witherspoon's character.
Yeah.
Um, I think that they're going to start off with him already passed,
Yeah.
like, and kind of like do a uh, homage or something like that to his legacy,
Yeah.
and then kind of move forward from there. It could be that the kids move in with somebody else,
Right.
um, and I want to say there was a rumor that they're gonna go live with like their grandmother or something like that,
That
and that
might
would
be
be that
funny.
would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking forward to it, and the fact that he'll be kind of he doesn't have to censor himself so much
Yep.
because it'll be on HBO. Um, I do hope though he has some type of restraint, or like someone can kind of like say no
Mm.
to certain things, because I think he excels when there's some type of restraint.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Whereas, like, you know what, I can't just blatantly say this, so I have to be clever, or I have to,
Mhm.
work
Yes.
around the lines, and like
Yes.
that's where like the genius kind of comes from. So hopefully he's tempered a little bit.
hmm
But on the same side, if he needs to go all out, he can.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, I will definitely. That's one reason for me to resubscribe to HBO Go. Like that right there. That and The Watchmen. I need to finish that. So yeah,
I
I'll
need I
definitely do
need
that.
to do that. I need to start. And I liked Watchmen. I was one of those, again, weird people who watched the movie and wasn't pissed off. Yeah, it wasn't slow. Yes, I happen to like slow movies. Like There Will Be Blood. I was all in that movie. That's one of my favorite movies. Daniel Day-Lewis is the bomb. So, yes, I like slow and I like movies with lots of dialogue because I am that type of person. I don't like pointless dialogue. I don't like the dialogue that like it goes around in circles and you're like, oh, this conversation's still going. Like, no, that's not me. But I liked Watchmen, and I thought that a lot of the I'm about to say the word lyrics, but a lot of the it was a lot of narrating, and I'm okay with narrating, especially when you have a movie that has a bunch of main characters and you need to understand there was no there was no pre-information for Watchmen unless you were like a comic book person.
Right.
It wasn't like getting a Marvel movie and already knowing Marvel stuff. Like if you don't know anything about Marvel, you live under a rock. That's just,
Right.
like everybody knows what Spider-Man is. if you don't, like, you honestly are you live under a rock. So it's like people knew nothing about. I mean, there are people who know about Watchmen, but like I didn't know anything about it when I went to the movie theater and I sat through this movie. And I think I went with some friends who were like, "Oh, I'm dead. I'm dying. I'm sleepy." And I'm like, "Well, have fun. Go in a corner somewhere, but I'm gonna enjoy this." I'm like, I paid the money. I'm gonna enjoy this. You know what movie I didn't enjoy when I was in there for 2 hours and something minutes? Troy, because it's dumb, and that's how I
Oh,
feel. We've had this
Troy.
conversation, you and I, before.
Why would you do that? We were almost done with the cast. We were almost done, and you had to bring up Troy. I don't even. Who are you right now? I don't understand. No, I think Watchmen for me, as someone who like kind of knew this stuff, is what it is with, at least from my end for Watchmen, was that similarly to The Last Airbender or some other films where they try to put a lot into one film.
Mm,
And
yeah, it was a lot.
I think from the reading, like understanding the comic and what happens in the comic, I think they did a good job. But I think that it would have been better suited for maybe two films or like a series to kind of really kind of get into certain things. And then also I didn't understand, or it was weird because there was a level of violence that I didn't expect, even though I knew about the comic and everything. Like, because the comic is violent,
Yeah.
but there were certain aspects where I was like, where it didn't seem like there's parts in the comic that are really really violent because certain people are like I'm a vigilante. I'm just gonna kill whoever. Like I
Yeah.
think it's Roy Sharch,
Rorschach.
yeah,
Yeah.
like he
Yeah.
kills people, right? So like I expect him to be violent. But some of the other characters were like they're like breaking arms and torn ligaments and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. And
Mm.
maybe it was, it's been a while since I read the comic, but I was like, I didn't expect this. And then there was certain scenes that were prolonged that didn't need to be prolonged.
Hmm.
Like you could have told more story here as opposed to just kind of like uh highlighting this sex scene or highlighting this thing or whatever, like because it's very short in the comic.
Yeah.
We get there and then we move right on to the next part. And so um I think those things were like pacing uh was kind of hindered certain things. At the
Hmm.
same time, I haven't seen it in a long time. I think I want to give it another shot
Yeah.
because I think expectancy makes it like when you go in expecting a certain thing and you don't
Yeah.
get it, if it's not amazing, then you might come out with a different experience.
Right. Right.
For instance, and granted, I don't really care how people feel about The Village from M. Night. Uh, Even if you feel like that was a great film, I thought it was bad because I went in there thinking it was going to be a horror film, and it was not. And it wasn't one of those things where this was like a good twist in the sense that, oh, this like, in terms of like Get Out was not exactly what I thought it was gonna be,
Right.
but it was like, oh, this is better than what I thought. Like
Yes.
this is way more intellectual. This is way more because I thought it was gonna be funny.
Right.
And I mean it was funny, but not what I thought. And
Yeah.
so with this, I was like, this is not what I wanted. This is not uh the what you advertised to me. I feel like you lied. And so for the most of the film is colored on that. There's some
Hmm.
really cool things that happen in the village that I just don't care.
Yeah.
And so I think with the Watchmen, like I kind of want to now that it's been some time since I've seen it, I kind of want to watch it again to kind of give it another chance.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely one of those things where I was like, man, like the book is better. One of those experiences, like it wasn't what I thought it would be. But I don't think that was a horrible film. Uh,
Mm.
the Village I could do it out, but yeah, I don't think that one was a horrible film.
Yeah. No, alrighty. Troy. Yeah.
No.
I know we're not. No, we're not going there. We'll save it for next week. We'll save, we'll
So
save
yeah,
it for next week. There's so many emotions.
yes. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the show. We had a short one this week.
Hmm.
Uh, because really there's outside of, being sick and in transit, there
Right.
wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on.
There's,
Um,
there's only a couple of other things that I wanted to mention before we end.
okay.
One thing on a side note, you guys do know that I mention Love Island a lot on this show. I always make like little tidbits to the reality shows that I watch, like Terrace House and Love Island. And sadly, this weekend on Saturday, the host of Love Island actually committed suicide. And
Wow.
so I mean, obviously, this is something I would like to spend more time on later, but I just wanted to kind of put that in there since I do watch that show and I do make a lot of comments to it. But yeah, Caroline Flack, who had been the host for the last 5 seasons, she took a break from this season because she had some personal issues come up in her life, and which actually ultimately led up to her suicide this past Saturday. So it's actually really sad, and for all the people involved and whatnot. But yeah, I thought I'd put that out there, and can pull a little bit about that one next week. But yeah, just kind of remembering Caroline Flack and my thoughts and prayers and stuff, because it's sad to lose like a TV host and whatnot, or just anybody who's in the public eye to suicide, and of course anybody who's in a personal life to suicide. So mental health is really important. Everybody take a moment. Remember, mental health is health. It's not just a segment. It's your health. So
Yeah, and that's definitely, we want to prayers and condolences to their families, and their friends and anybody else who's
mhm.
affected by what's happened. And that's something we're going to definitely talk about, not suicide in general, but mental health um, in the future episode,
Yeah,
because yeah, that is important, especially the Black community, or
absolutely.
what I know. Um, it's not something that people like to talk about. It's not really a thing. Granted, I think as of late, or as of the recent years, mental health has become pushed into the forefront because of social media. Um, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit more next time. But just to say that, like, a lot more people are willing to kind of listen about mental health now
Mhm.
than what they were years ago. Like, as opposed to, like, you're just lazy, or you're just a bum, or you're just whatever. It's like, oh no, you're dealing with something, what is it, chemical imbalance, or whatever the case.
Mhm.
Um, you're going through something. And so it's not to be looked at as like this weird thing that only happens to, certain people, or um, it's just an excuse for not doing A, B, or C. It's like, no, there's things that you're kind of out of control of, you don't have control of, and you need help, whether it be, seeing a therapist, or, talking to friends, or, a help hotline, or medication, whatever the case may be. Um, you need help. And
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
definitely, uh, if you do need help, definitely reach out to someone. Um, and
Yeah.
which is not the easiest thing to do, uh, with that, because I know, like, a lot of times with, like, anxiety, or things of that nature, like, logic is kind of like tossed out the window. Like, your brain is like, I don't need that. And so it makes it difficult to kind of reach out. But,
Mhm.
if even if you're just feeling any of those type of things, like, yeah, like, getting help isn't a bad thing. It's a good
Mhm.
thing.
It's a good thing.
And you'll learn a lot about yourself. And, you know, you'll be surprised what you find out. So
Exactly. There
I
are
would definitely recommend.
hotlines. There's a lot of like there are things out there to help people. And so that, a lot of people who are in the situation do feel isolated and alone, but there are tools out there. There are modes of help. And then if you know somebody who's going through something, um, you know, do your best by that person. You can contact the hotline too. There are ways to help. And just remember to stay connected and involved in people's lives, and see what you can do to be a shoulder to lean on, or if you need somebody, there are people there who are available to you.
Definitely. So
Most.
on that note, wait, was there anything else? You said you had a couple things.
Oh, yeah, I have a couple things. For all of you guys who don't know this, but if you do watch, by the way, RuPaul's Drag Race is having a special on Showtime. Just wanted to drop that, just because I do watch RuPaul's Drag Race. It is still Black History Month. It's still Black Herstory Month, and therefore RuPaul, going down in history as one of the greatest drag queens to ever grace the stage, is getting a special of All Stars on Showtime, and I just thought that it was extremely important to mention that because, yeah, I watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, because I'm a fan. So much of a fan that I had a party at my house one year. That's not the point. First season two. It was actually on the wrong day. We'll talk about that another week. That was embarrassing. How do you hold the final, like a final party for the final episode, at your house, but get the date wrong.
Fam, I just
Oh, fail. Blog
see.
fail. I should have put that on the fail blog for real, for real.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. But you know what? What is more fail though? The fact that you hosted one on the wrong day, or that people showed up on the
People
wrong
shut
day.
up.
Like at that, it's like, you know what? You can't be too mad at me, fam. You showed up. You showed up. Like what do you want? Like you could have Googled this, okay? Yeah.
Some people did. That's why some people didn't come because they realized it was the wrong day.
Oh, I didn't even tell you. That's
But some
wrong.
people they did. So I did get a note, and then I realized it too. I was like, oh wait a minute. And so one of my friends who was actually really really into the show, he had said, hey, I don't think it's this week. He goes, I don't think the finals this week. I think this week is the special. Like the recap. And I was like, oh crap, hold on, you might be right about this. And so then I figured it out. So I did let some people know, but it didn't stop some people from coming over. They
Mm.
actually came over anyway. So some people came and watched the special with me and ate my food.
Okay, that works. Like free food is awesome, so
Right? There was chicken and there was like, and I made some like cake or something because, I like to bake and stuff. So there was that. And yeah, that was back in the day when I was cool and I had friends. Um, and last but not least, um, definitely not least. I did want to mention, just drop a little bit of info on this because we will have him on the show in the future. I just
Right.
wanted to drop a little bit of info. It's a music highlight on an artist named X20. He is a hip hop R&B Afrobeat artist, up and coming. He's got music on Spotify. So again, his name is X20, the letter X and the number 20. And yeah, he's been in the United States since 2012 and had been wanting to make music since about 2015, just didn't have the right tools. But last year, he managed to get himself some tools and he's been making music since. So he's got a lot of music on, well, not a lot, but he's got some music on Spotify. I definitely think you should check him out. He's, young and just really trying to get out there. I think he's like 18 years old. So his music is, definitely talks about like moving from Ghana to the United States. So check him out. X20, we're going to have him on the show in the upcoming weeks. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got.
That's dope. And Afrobeats has blown up in the last few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Uh, and some might say because of well, Drake helps, but Black Panther and like a lot of people
Right, right.
seeking like certain sounds and whatnot, and uh, so like this is a perfect time essentially for to kind of get into that. So that's
Yeah.
what's up.
Yeah,
That's
people
what's
think
up.
we're cool now. Like we've been making music for a really long time. We got High Life, we got
Yes.
all kinds of music coming out of West Africa, but now all of a sudden people like, oh hey, you cool. Beyonce did a song. And then we're like, so yeah.
Horrible. Horrible.
Shatta Wale is like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But yeah, he does hip hop, R&B, Afrobeats. He does it all. He does it all and works with some producers that are actually based in London. They do a lot of their music basically on the web. They're not even in the same city.
You don't have to be
You
anymore.
don't have to be. We're not even in the same city.
Facts.
Nobody knew that, did they? We're like, da, da, da. They know our secret.
Man, well then, I think that's it for me,
Yeah.
in terms of news and whatnot. I know there's a lot of stuff that's happening. There's some things that I wanted to bring up, but then I was like, you know what? There's a lot of sad that's been going
Yeah.
on 2020, so I kind of wanted to stay away from that. But there's some, unfortunately, there's been some deaths and whatnot, and I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm just gonna pump the brakes. We might talk about them next week,
Yeah.
depending on what we have planned. So, but I wanted to kind of end on, you know, just have a casual week for the most
Yeah.
part. Not have anything controversial or,
Right.
huge, just, casual. And so we might look into, some of those other things. I know that there's a lot going on the music side of things
Yeah.
and with certain celebrities that look like us. So not that we're just forgetting that. It's kind of like just kind of want to slowly move through this week because it was rough. It was rough.
It
Like I
was a
said,
rough week. Yeah.
getting over a cold and stuff. So, or not a
Yeah.
cold. I don't even know what I had to be honest.
It
Uh,
was definitely SARS.
yes. Oh gosh, that's rough. Like,
It proves that you can get over it. I
fam,
don't
I don't know
I don't know
how.
what I had. Remember, I wasn't feeling well Monday night. I almost didn't make my I was gonna make my flight regardless because it was at 9:30 at night. But I was not okay on Monday night. I thought it was near death. I did not know what was going on. And then Tuesday I felt better. But then Tuesday night before I got on my plane, I felt sick again, and I was like, "Oh God, I got to get on this plane." I downed 3 doses of anti-nausea medicine during the flight. Like,
See,
I was not okay.
that's that. Yes, the freaking SARS. Like, I don't know what it was. I felt beat up. Like, like
Yeah.
someone just beat the crap out of me and then
It was
stopped up my
not.
nose so I couldn't breathe, and yeah, it's all over the place. And so I'm not 100%, but I'm getting there. So next week we'll look into tackling some more stuff. But again, thanks for listening. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the little
Mhm.
bell so you can be notified when we post. Remember, we record on Thursdays. It goes up on Friday. Just if if you forget to hit the bell. Definitely follow us on Twitter at U_F_G. You can follow me personally on Twitter at KinneyUFG. Check out the website at UnitedFrontGaming.com. We have some reviews going up. Unfortunately, mine are late because I was sick. Did I mention I was sick? Um, but I'm reviewing Vanquish and Bayonetta. There's a bundle uh, that came out on the 18th. My review's supposed to be up on the 17th, but yeah, sick. So that's going to be going up pretty soon. We also got the bundle for the Yakuza series. I want to say Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 on the PS4. Yes, on the PS4. And so though that review bundle will be going up soon as well. And we posted news and all the other good stuff. So definitely check that out on UnitedFrontGaming.com. You can follow Tess at MessyTessie_bakes
Yep.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for housekeeping.
Yep. And I do apologize, guys, for my Instagram because I just got tired and I realized that this posting every day thing is hard. So I'll get back to. I really was, you guys. I was trying so hard to post every day for Black History Month, and it's not that I didn't have the content. Like, it's I just it is. I don't turn on my phone every day. I don't. I don't
That's
turn on my
good
phone
though.
every day. I don't look at my phone every day. In fact, I hate my phone. I try not to listen to it ring. I only turn it on Thursdays when you're texting me saying, "Hey, let's do this." And that's really it. So, I apologize, guys. I'll do better.
Well, no, that's actually good. You don't want your phone to control your mind, because it can get kind of crazy. Social media. As long as you're posting some cool stuff here and there, I think people will be
Mhm.
fine with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think you're fine because I don't. I mean, I've been tweeting a lot lately, but I typically don't and either. So outside of posting things that are about UFG and other stuff like that, um, being sick, I couldn't really do much. So yeah, I
Yeah.
was on Twitter like all day long. Um, but yeah, thanks for checking us out again.
Yeah.
And I don't forget to write in the comments if you want us to talk about a certain topic or you like a certain topic or
Hmm.
whatever topic. Let us know. Give us a thumbs up, and we will see you next time.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.